Alright, what's up everybody? I just got done watching the Microsoft press conference for E3 2014, and I'm going to give my thoughts on each of the games that they've shown, so let's jump right into it. So first of all, Phil Spencer came out and said we are going to focus solely on the games, which are pretty cool because I remember last year they focused on both the TV stuff and the video game stuff, but this year was all about the games for the Xbox One. So thank you, Phil Spencer, for that. So the first game that they showed at the Microsoft press conference was, of course, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, which it did look great running on the Xbox One. Assuming it was running on the Xbox One, I don't know. It looked a little bit too good for console, if you catch my drift. But anyways, from what was shown, it looked fantastic. Everything was running smoothly, but this is still a Call of Duty game. I mean, come on. How many times are you going to give something a brand new paint job, you know? But anyways, it looked great, but still, it's Call of Duty. I gave up on Call of Duty after Black Ops 2. Never had the urge to return to it. My number one go-to shooter would have to be the Battlefield games, thanks to my friend who got me hooked on those games now. But yeah, that was the first thing, of course, they shown to appeal to all the Call of Duty fans out there. So I guess if you love Call of Duty or love buying it every year, I'm assuming that you're going to buy this one also. From what I've seen, everything looked very futuristic this time. They had laser guns, they had grenades that hover in the air, they had mechs walking around, and I'm just looking at all this crap and I'm like, meh, it's the same old shit, just brand new paint job, you know? The second thing they showed was DLC for Forza 5. I think they're going to get a new racetrack and some new cars and some stuff for Forza Horizon 2. They showed Evolve gameplay, which is made from the creators of Left 4 Dead. To me, the game looks like a combination of Left 4 Dead and Gears of War, but just replace the zombies with huge giant monsters that I guess evolve every time they feed on other monsters or other creatures or other humans. It looked pretty cool. It's coming out for the Xbox One, PC, I think the PC, and I believe it will also be available for the PS4. Next up, they showed some gameplay for Assassin's Creed Unity. I was getting kind of skeptical about this at first because I was like, oh man, another Assassin's Creed game. I mean, is it going to feel the same? And they showed the main character, I'm assuming it was the main character, like climbing up some buildings and running through windows and stuff. But the neat thing about this Assassin's Creed is that it's finally going to be co-op. You could team up with 3 other players online and, you know, they can help you out on missions and stuff. So that seemed to be like the only different thing about this Assassin's Creed. Everything else about it looks pretty much the same. You know, you still got your hidden blades and your trinkets to use on your enemies, and you could use, you know, your stealth attacks. So another Assassin's Creed game, yay! But with co-op. Not sure if I'm going to be getting that upon release. Maybe, I don't know. I know they usually do like collector editions that come with like a cool statue of the main character. We will see. Next up, they showed a trailer for Dragon Age Inquisition, which looks pretty cool. I think I played the first Dragon Age game. I never played any of the other ones. But so far I heard nothing but great things about the Dragon Age games, and I know a lot of people personally who love Dragon Age and who probably are excited for Dragon Age Inquisition. This trailer that they showed, I think it just looks like the same old stuff that you would expect from a Dragon Age game, but it looks pretty cool and interesting. Next up on the list, we have Sunset Overdrive, which is a third-person action shooter game, and from what I've seen, it kind of reminded me of, I know they're not copying off any other games. I know this is like a brand new original game, but from what I've seen from the gameplay, it kind of reminded me of Infamous 1 and 2, because the character they was playing as was grinding on a lot of stuff, and it kind of reminded me of the same type of grinding in Infamous 1 and 2, where you're playing as Cole McGrath and you get to grind on the power lines, and you get to do that same thing in Project Overdrive. So I was like, that kind of reminds me of Infamous in a way. But that was just for that one grinding ability that character was doing that reminded me of Infamous. But everything else about the game was different, where you get to hang off stuff and jump and do parkour while messing around with a bunch of different weapons and killing a bunch of different monsters. It looks really interesting. Still, it's not something that would convince me to buy an Xbox One, though. Next up, they showed DLC for Dead Rising 3, where I guess you finally get to download the other characters from Dead Rising 1 and 2. So you get to download and play as Frank West and Chuck Green and another character, a female character, I believe, and you get to do some cosplaying and dress all of them up in like these Street Fighter costumes. It looked really funny, and the whole idea behind that was that they were trying to, I guess, turn the trailer into a parody of all the other Street Fighter games that are out now. So they called it like Ultra Turbo Dead Rising 3 to the Max Edition, which was like a parody of the, Street Fighter games. But yeah, the DLC looks pretty cool, so Dead Rising 3 fans have something to look forward to. Alright, so next up, they showed something called Disney Fantasia Music Evolved. Along with that, Dance Central Spotlight, which I guess are going to be Xbox Connect compatible games. I'm not sure. They didn't really show anything from that. They just showed like the, I guess he was like a CEO or game developer who came out on stage who was talking about those games, but they did not really show any gameplay from those games. Alright, so moving along, we have Fable Legends, which is a multiplayer Fable game. It looked pretty cool. I mean, it looked pretty much like your average Fable game, but you get to team up with other players and pretty much just go up against waves of enemies. And in a way, it kind of reminded me of an MMO, because one part they showed all the players teaming up and going up against a huge boss-like character. And I think a fifth player gets to be a villain. I'm not sure, but the villain gets to set traps and gets to spawn more monsters and more enemies for the players to fight. So it's basically a cooperative Fable game. So if you like Fable and always wanted to play Fable with friends, now you can for Xbox One and I think PC, I'm not sure. Alright, they showed Project Spark, which they showed that last year also, but this year they showed more of it, and I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a cartoony action-adventure game where you get to alter the landscape, and you get to play as Conkers from Conker's Bad Fur Day. So whoever remembers Conkers, and if you're a big fan of Conker, well, you get to play as Conker in this Project Spark game for Xbox One. Also, they showed this game called Ori and the Blind Forest, which looks pretty interesting. 2D side-scroller game with like an eerie atmosphere, kind of like a Limbo type of game if you play Limbo. They showed this other game that also reminded me of Limbo. I forgot the name of it. I did write it down on the list, but I think I will get to that pretty soon. Oh no, here it is. I found it. It's called Inside, where you're playing as a kid, just like Limbo, and I guess you're solving puzzles and going through all these different areas. So that looked pretty cool. Halo Master Chief Collection, which is coming out this November. It comes with a total of 4 Halo games, I think. I think that's right. 4 or 5 Halo games. It might be 4. Yeah, pretty much all of the previous Halo games that were ever made. And if you pre-order this, you get to try out the Halo 5 beta. And I think it's called Halo 5 Guardian. And you can get the Halo Master Chief Collection this November. But if you pre-order that, then you get to play the Halo 5 beta. When I saw this announcement, I was like, meh, because I'm not a Halo fan. I never really got into Halo. But, if you guys like Halo, then hey, you'll get to enjoy every single Halo game that was ever made for the Xbox One. I'm not sure if they're going to be available on one disc. It might have multiple discs. Don't know. And I think they said it'll be in like full 1080p, 60 frames per second if you care about that stuff. Yeah. Alright, so they did show a crap load of indie games. I couldn't keep track of all of them, but there was this one that stood out to me. It's called Cuphead, and the animation style that is like a 2D side-scrolling game that looks like a old school Mickey Mouse cartoon, and that really stood out to me. I was like, wow, that looks like a Mickey Mouse cartoon from, you know, back from the old school Disney. It really looked cool. So anyways, that's one of the indie games that really interested me a lot. They showed a bunch of others really quickly. They were just like moving along very quick. Alright, so going down the list, we have Tomb Raider sequel, which is scheduled to release in 2015. This one is called Rise of the Tomb Raider. When I when I saw that title, I'm sorry, all I could think of is Dark Knight Rises, because it seemed like most sequels, they have to put the word rise in there. There was not really any gameplay shown for that. It was like a CG cinematic trailer where they show like Lara Croft talking to like a psychiatrist and her continuing on these like adventures of like, you know, killing bad guys and firing or shooting her bow and arrow and using her rock climbing abilities. But anyways, another Tomb Raider game, 2015. Yeah, I'm kind of excited for that. I did like the first one. The first one was pretty fun. So, moving along, they did show gameplay for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which looked pretty awesome. They showed the main character chopping some bad guys into pieces with a sword, and they also showed him fighting a griffin, which was pretty damn cool. So I'm looking forward to playing The Witcher 3, even though I never played the first two yet, but I've heard many positive things about The Witcher games. Phantom Dust, they showed a CGI trailer of that. I had no idea what the hell that was, so I had to do some research, and I found out that they had another Phantom Dust game that came out for like the original Xbox, and it's actually a action strategy fighting game. And this new one now, I'm not sure if it's like a remake or a sequel, but it looks pretty cool. So if you're into the first Phantom Dust game, then I guess you guys will like this one for the Xbox One. They showed more gameplay from The Division, which looks like a third-person action adventure shooting, but I think it's an MMO, like a third-person action MMO, because you get to team up with a bunch of people online and go to different territories in a city and, you know, take on other people in a shootout. It looked pretty interesting. I think it will also be available for the PS4, not just the Xbox One. Also, they showed this CGI cinematic for this game called Scalebound, which is from Platinum Games. And usually Platinum Games make insane action video games. This one, it looked very weird to me. At first, I thought it was another like Monster Hunter type of game, because they showed like these huge godlike creatures. And they showed this guy, who I'm assuming is the main protagonist, who had like white hair. He had like earphones or headphones on, and I'm not sure of his personality, but he kind of reminded me of Dante in a way from Devil May Cry. But anyways, he's like fighting like these huge dragon-like monsters, and like I guess he could like absorb their scales as armor, which looked pretty cool. So I don't know what to think of it. To me, it kind of reminded me of Devil May Cry mixed with Monster Hunter, if that makes any sense. But it's from Platinum Games, so you know it's going to be insane. Alright, so the last thing on the list that they showed was Crackdown 3. Even though they did not show a number 3, they just called it Crackdown, but I'm assuming it's going to be number 3, since they had the first two that was released on Xbox 360, so if you're into Crackdown, then I'm pretty sure you're going to be looking forward to playing that. I played the first one. I think a friend let me borrow it back when I was in college, and it's pretty fun. It's like you play as these cops who have like these super abilities. I think they have super abilities, but you can like jump super far like Superman, and pretty much you're like super cops, pretty much. So yeah, Crackdown 3, woohoo, and I think that's all the stuff that I wrote down on the list here. Was at the Microsoft press conference for E3 2014. Alright, so thanks for listening, and I will be making another video talking about all the EA stuff and Ubisoft stuff and the Sony stuff, maybe the Nintendo stuff, I'm not sure, but I will be making multiple videos throughout the day. Alright, so thanks for listening, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.